What's going on, everybody? Rob here, aka Trev2323. Well, I'm finally doing it. I'm finally switching off of my Daly BMS. Now, Daly did do me really good. This is the battery management system, battery monitor sensor. It's $100 for that thing right there. And what this does is there's 14 batteries right here, and it goes into the positive out. It starts with the negative of the bottom one and goes up to all 14 and connects into each individual 14 battery. Now, these are lithium ion batteries, so it monitors them so they don't go over 4.2 volts or below 3.2 volts, and it keeps them, it's supposed to keep them balanced, where they're balanced within a certain tolerance. Okay, so this worked perfect for me for like 2 or 3 years. Perfect for this Daly BMS. And I bought it from someplace here in Illinois, and they were really, when I couldn't get this to go in, they helped me out with a lot of stuff getting this thing going. Although recently there was the software update for Daly. Okay, so it was working fine, and then the software update wasn't available. I'm in a bunch of different battery groups, and they says, well, if you go to Google Play Store and update it there, it'll update and work. So I went to Google Play Store, and that's what I did. It worked for 2 days, and that was it. So this is supposed to shut my battery off at 42 volts. And believe it or not, I got to check this right here, because this is supposed to shut my Growatt. I have it set at 46 volts. It goes back to the grid. So we went out one time. I had all the fish tanks running off of the Growatt. I do not leave this connected to the grid. My reason to not leave it connected to the grid is the inverter uses power. So I want to strictly use it for only when the sun is out, only to power my fish tanks, and in the summertime we're going to do my window unit air conditioner. Okay, but this Daly BMS, my battery went down to 40 volts, 40 volts. Okay, so I came to check it out. Normally, when it was, if the battery would go low, all I gotta do is plug in the Growatt inverter. The Growatt will go on if I plug it into the grid, and then it'll charge back up the battery. Here's the problem with that. This is a 48 volt Growatt inverter. All right, it needs 48 volts to go on. So with this battery at 40 volts, this inverter won't even go on to charge the battery. Even if you plug it into the grid, it needs a 48 volt battery connected. Okay, so I opened up the Daly BMS app. There's an app that I can monitor all my batteries. I opened up the Daly BMS app. Wouldn't connect to the Daly BMS. Normally, if you pull out the leads, the balance leads, and plug it back in, the BMS will find it. Wouldn't find it. Okay, so now I got a bench top charger here. You see a bench top charger when I'm at 51.4 volts. Okay, so with the bench top charger, I'm at 51.4 volts. It could charge up to 60 volts. I'm charging at 2 amps right now. Okay, I have this battery back up to 51 volts. It's at 51. Max capacity is 56 volts. Okay, I just turned it on for the purpose of this video right now. I'm not going to charge it to 56. Okay, so what this is supposed to do is, as it's charging, it's supposed to actively make sure the battery doesn't go up to 4.2 volts each individual cell, and keep them all balanced together. Okay, so the blue one, the blue line right here, is connected to the main output of the battery pack. This black one goes into the Growatt inverter. So what this does is it monitors each cell, and then if there's something wrong, even it got a temperature sensor, if there's something wrong, it disconnects the negative, shuts the battery down, and shuts your system down. Okay, so how I know this is bad, how the BMS is bad, is, for one, these right here, if you take this off, and with a voltage tester, you could test each one of the cell. You touch the negative, each one of the cells should step up by between 3.2 or 4.2 volts in series, all the way up to 51 volts. Okay, so I take this off and I tested it in series, and everything tested fine, going up from 3.2 volts all the way up to 51 volts. Okay, so the battery, each individual cell is fine. Okay, now if you go from the negative the input, this is the negative input from the battery in between that in here. If you go from the negative in here to the positive, your last main positive, and you test it with the tester, it's registering 51 volts. So I am getting 51 volts to right here. Now if I plug this straight into the Growatt, this will go on. If I plug that straight into the Growatt, the battery's fine, that'll go on. Although there's no safety with this lithium ion, that it's gonna not overcharge one cell. I don't care about the undercharge, the cell just goes bad, but if you overcharge a lithium ion, you're gonna have a fire. So that's why the BMSs are important. So when I test from this negative going in to the positive coming out, this is 51 volts. 51 volts, enough to turn this on. Although, like I said, this is supposed to shut off the system coming out right here to in here, right? This right here is 10 volts difference. This is 51 volts coming in. This is 40 volts coming out. 40 volts coming out, 50 volts coming in. And it's holding at 40 volts. It's not shutting it down. It's holding at a 40 volt right here. So what I did is, now here's my thing with Daly. Okay, I loved this BMS. It only charged when it was in charging mode. I mean, it only balanced when it was in charging mode. It did not balance when it was being discharged. It only balanced when it was being charged, when the charger was on. Okay, but since I did the update and that went down, there's tons of Daly BMSs on the market. There's a lot of forums on Daly BMSs, how to get them working, how to have them going on. My thing is, the update and the app is what caused that to crash. And another thing that drives me nuts is BMSs are up from China. So this one right here was kind of hard to understand in the beginning because I got it like 2 years ago. Okay, so now the another one coming out is the JK BMS. It's a programmable where you could program your settings into the JK BMS. It was $83 from a US distributor. Should be here by January 12th. I bought the JK BMS. There's no sun in Chicago right now. I mean, it's winter time. We haven't really had much sun at all here in Chicago. And I know this right here is not doing anything for me right now. I could barely run my 120 gallon fish tanks off of it right now. I had to get a mop and mop off my solar panels. But one thing as a hobbyist for solar is when the sun is out and shining bright and this is not on, I am feeling like I'm throwing money out of my pockets because I know my fish tanks could be plugged into this and my big 125 gallon fish tanks could be running off with the sun. So it cost me $83.50 for the JK BMS that I'm waiting to come in. So I'll do an unboxing, an installation, and a review. But I can already tell you, I'm using the same wires, and my balance leads right here, I'm gonna cut them right here one by one. I'm gonna cut them one by one in a step up in series, so I do not have to connect none of the ring terminals from this battery right here. I'm going to connect the 14 balance leads to the balance leads right here and then go into the new JK BMS. So either way, stay tuned for that. But yes, there's trouble in paradise. My whole solar array system is down right now because my Daly BMS went down. Womp, womp, womp. Alright, talk to you later. Subscribe, like, share, follow along. This summer, my goal for this is to run my window unit air conditioners in the house to keep the house cool. All right, bye-bye.